Thank you. Thank you so much for joining in. We have Atika ma'am who's going to talk about body shaming. Thank you, Atika ma'am, for doing this for our students. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and giving me this opportunity to interact with you all. A very good evening to all of you. I really hope all of you are safe, your families are safe, and you're doing the best you can in these trying times. I'm Atika. I'm a counseling psychologist. I've been in the field for the last 7 years and done a lot of work in India, back in Delhi, with organizations like NAS Foundation, National Commission for Women, Sanjeevani Society for Mental Health. About 7 years ago, I started my own practice called Breaking Barriers. And yes, I was doing, individual couple work. And last year, I shifted to Singapore, and I'm working with an organization called International Counseling and Psychology Center here, dealing with, again, the adult population mostly, So yes, that's about me. And I'm going to present to you on a very relevant topic, I think, especially in the adolescent and young adults, age group. I think it's a very pertinent topic. And I'm sure that all of us have faced body shaming at some point of time in our lives. So I'm gonna first sort of share a presentation with you, and I will take up the questions at the end of the session. I hope you enjoy the presentation. And yes, let's start. Maya, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yes, about body shaming, I'm going to start with this quote, which is by a famous Hollywood star, Emma Stone. Too fat, too skinny, too short, too tall, too anything. There's a sense that we're all too something, and we're all not enough. This is life. Our bodies change, our minds change, our hearts change. I think all of us are always told we're not enough, we're too this, we're too that. So what really is body shaming? According to the dictionary, it's basically an act of humiliating a person based on their body type. It is actually a form of bullying. And the reason why this is such a sensitive topic to all of us is because the way we present ourselves has a direct connection to who we are. And mainly body shaming is with reference to our physical appearance, which is weight, height, shape, size, clothing choices, hairstyle, makeup. So how does it really manifest? How does body shaming occur? It's basically when you criticize your own appearance, you pass your judgment on yourself in comparison to another person. I'm too fat compared to her. I'm too short. I'm too dark. Or it's criticizing another person's appearance in front of them. Like, why don't you run? You've gained weight. Why don't go out in the sun? You'll get dark. Or it's criticizing another person's appearance without their knowledge, when you're sharing it with someone else. So look what she's wearing. Look at her hair. It's so messy. Look at him. He's too skinny. How did body shaming actually come into being? How did it evolve? So during the Victorian, during the Renaissance time, if you all have seen ancient paintings, sculptures, fuller bodies were actually considered more beautiful because it was representing wealth in society. So the royalty, the nobility, the, higher economic strata, they had fuller bodies because they had enough to eat. They did not suffer from diseases like tuberculosis. So that's what it represented, basically the socio-economic gap. But over the years, it sort of somehow evolved, and because, again, the lower now has enough to eat, the diseases, because medical science has advanced, so they have access to healthcare. So now how does the wealth gap sort of physically manifest itself? It's the reverse. Now we look at keto diets, we look at Pilates, we look at going to the gym, vegan, organic food. And who can afford this? Again, your people from the low economic strata cannot. It's again the higher socioeconomic strata that can afford it. So it's actually reversed, and that's how it's evolved. Another interesting thing is, why do we indulge in it at all? Why do we want to criticize someone? So shame is actually considered to be a social emotion. It's in relation to what others expect out of us. This ideal body type, this ideal way to be, the ideal way we get accepted. It's what I have formed, So it's according to the social expectations of ourselves or of someone else. Now, again, body shaming is also actually a way of connecting. It's a way of bonding. It's in a very distorted manner, but you sort of feel connected. You have something to share, a commonality when you criticize someone else, when you put someone else down. So that's why people also indulge in gossip. The third one is, it's also a way to retaliate to someone who has hurt you. So, for example, if someone says something to me and I'm like, you're so ugly or you're so fat, it's easier for me to say that than actually say, I was hurt by the way you treated me. Because then I would be actually expressing my true feelings and exposing myself and showing my vulnerability, which again is not okay. So what do? I attack the other person. How have we learned to body shame? I think we all know media has a huge influence on the way we think, the way we feel about ourselves, and the way we act. So that's why I've put a quote by, Vidya Balan. So even our Bollywood stars, our Hollywood stars, they're not spared from body shaming. It's again, you see all these advertisements about fairness creams, again, a huge influencer. Like I said, societal expectation, social emotion. Any matrimonial ad, 90% of them, we're looking for a fair, homely, thin, slim, educated girl. We're looking for a tall, fair, handsome, well-earning boy. So again, it's an expectation. The society has decided, has portrayed that this is how one ought to appear to be. Irrespective of our individual differences, how we're actually all different physically, mentally, spiritually. So nowhere does anyone talk about celebrating those differences. You need to sort of get pigeonholed into this image. So, and unfortunately, all of us sort of strive to fit into that, whether we can or not. The other is childhood conditioning. You must have seen or heard in your childhood an aunt or your grandmother saying, "Dhoop mein mat ja, kali ho jayegi." Abhi se exercise kar, nahi to rishta kaise hoga. I'm sure a lot of us grew up hearing this. So that's how we sort of understood, oh, you know what? I have to be this way to feel accepted. I have to be this way to, others to love me. Nobody will love me for who I am. That's what we learned. Social media, in our generation, it's actually a huge bane, because when we look at Instagram, when we look at Facebook, what we see is actually people putting their best, when they're best dressed, their best holidays, their best moments. Okay, now we look at their best, and what do? We compare our worst. We compare, well, I don't look like that. I didn't go for that foreign holiday. So it's a very unfair comparison because you're comparing someone's best to your worst. Remember, on social media, nobody puts up their struggles. Nobody puts, their days, their bad days, their bad hair days. We don't do that. So it's a very unfair comparison that we make, which really is very, very harmful for our self-worth. So that's how we learned body shaming. Now that I've spoken about what it is, how to evolve, what it entails, I want to get to the most important bit of what the impact of body shaming is. And I want to start with mental health, because I'm sure all of you know that, like physical health, mental health is also a very, very important, maybe a more important component. So how does it really manifest? When you feel shame, you actually withdraw from public situations. You don't want to be out there. You want to withdraw and you want to hide, because it causes you that social anxiety. So you isolate yourself. Now, when you do that, it can actually increase your feelings of depression, because there's a sense of loneliness. There is a sense of nobody loves me. I'm not worth it. So that depression, that negative self-image, it increases. It can take a more extreme form, where you feel suicidal, where you feel like self-harm. You can also indulge in that, harming yourself. So yeah, the other two disorders that I really want to talk about is eating disorders. What body shaming does is that it actually increases your chances of being anorexic or being bulimic. Now, anorexia nervosa is basically refusing to eat because you want to be so thin. You diet to the point of falling sick. And bulimia is actually the opposite, because you binge eat and then you purge. You eat and you vomit. You vomit that all out of guilt. And it's a vicious cycle. Extreme form of these can actually be fatal. So, and no matter how the person suffering from eating disorders, no matter what body they attain, they will always see a very distorted version of themselves in the mirror. And they feel controlling their food intake will actually change their appearance, which will make the shaming stop. It does not work like that. The feelings of shame will not stop. So they need to go to a mental health professional to get treated for this, because the image they see in the mirror will not be the real image. It'll be a distorted image. Another very extreme form is body dysmorphic disorders. I want to share this with an example of a client I had, again, way back 15 years ago. This lady, she was in her early 40s, and she was referred to the psychiatrist we were interning with. And she hadn't stepped out of her house for 20 years. Yes, 20 years she had not stepped down. So from the age of 20 years to 40, she had not stepped out of the house. And how it started was, she got a pimple on her face. And she became so obsessive with that because she saw that as a flaw. So she became so obsessive with it, she tried all sorts of creams, all ointments. Now, what happened is, one of these ointments sort of reacted and it burnt her skin. And there was further scarring. And she locked herself up because she felt she cannot face the world. Then at 40, when she did step out, she went to a plastic surgeon to sort of, remove that scar. And she underwent a few plastic surgeries to correct that flaw. Now, how did she come to the hospital, to the psychiatrist? Is because the plastic surgeon refused to perform any more surgeries till she psychiatric evaluation. And that's when she was diagnosed with body dysmorphic disorder. And then we worked on sort of building that image. So that's the extreme form body shaming can take. The impact it has on ourselves, it's because basically it's about what we think, what we feel about ourselves. Again, shame is an emotion It's what you really think of yourself, what you believe you are. That's what shame is. It's different from guilt. Guilt is about the behavior. Shame is about what I feel about myself. The impact it has on relationships is, again, because you withdraw, because you hide, it increases loneliness, it increases a feeling of isolation. I'm the only one, nobody can help me. So that's the impact. You start withdrawing from friends, from relatives, and you just want to hide. How do we deal with body shaming? I think this is really important. So the first thing is that in your conversations, ask a person, how have you been? How have you been feeling? Instead of saying, you've lost weight, you've had a haircut, you look good, or you look like a mess. So change conversations. Focus on asking how the person has been, which will also help, which will make the person feel that you are concerned about their well-being. It makes the other feel good as well. Secondly, positive affirmations. Research has said if you practice positive affirmations for 6 months every single day, it actually increases your self-image. So what you do, you look at the mirror every morning, maintain eye contact with yourself, and you say these 2 things that you like about yourself. I'm so smart at, as an artist, I'm so good. I'm such a good data analyst. Anything that you like, and do this for 6 months and see the difference. Now build awareness. When you sort of see, okay, this is not something that I like, so write down these thoughts. In what ways do you actually feel you're not good enough? Do you feel this sense of insecurity? Do you feel inadequate? So write it specifically. I don't think I'm a good football player. Because if you say I'm not good, it's very vague. What are you not good at? Or what is it that you don't like? Specifics. It will help you narrow it down. It'll help you become aware of these traits. Secondly, also ask yourself, how did these thoughts actually develop? You were not born with these thoughts. You were not born thinking, I'm so fat or I'm so dark. So how did these thoughts actually come into being? Who said them to you? As a child, do you remember these conversations in your house? Do you remember someone saying it? What did they say? In what context did they say it? For example, अगर मोटी होगी तो शादी नहीं होगी, अगर ऐसे मत हंसो, it's not too girly, boys don't cry. So in what context have you heard these conversations? Have you adopted these beliefs? Okay. The other one is that when you adopted this belief, how has it impacted your life? Have you gained from this belief? Has it motivated you in any way? Or has it limited you in some way? Is it even working for you? So ask yourself, what is belief adding to my life or not adding? Something to think about. Now, I have a lot of people who ask me that, now we're aware, A, of the things that we don't like about ourselves, B, we understand where they come from. How did we come to adopt these beliefs? Now, what do I do about it? How do I change these beliefs in myself? Well, you got to write down the new beliefs you want to believe. What do you believe about yourself? If you were to sort of sketch out what you're like, what would you write down? What are your positive traits? What are your strengths? What is it that you like about yourself? Make a list. Have it written down, pen and paper, because that gives you clarity. That is also something which you stick on your closet and you look at it every day. It reinforces that these are the things that are good about me. These are the traits that I like about myself. I admire about myself. Then write down about things that you don't like. Can you change these? And if you can't change it, how do you learn to accept them? So again, I'm going to give you an example of a client I had about 5-6 years ago. She was in her early 20s. She was dark. She was plump. She had super curly hair, and her confidence had hit an all-time low because the notion of beauty is fair, light-eyed, straight long hair, slim, and she didn't fit any of that. So throughout her growing up, she was majorly teased. She was majorly body shamed by her distant relatives, by her friends, by even her teachers. So she said, I'm not good enough. And I'm not good enough. We made her aware because you don't conform to the idea of beauty. So we worked on, again, the same thing. What are the positives? What are the negatives? What does she like? What does she doesn't like? Where did these beliefs that she adopted, where did they come from? And as we worked on her self-awareness and, finally making these lists of things that she likes, she actually listed down that she's really good at finances. She was very ambitious, very career-oriented, and amazing at her work. She got promotions at a very young age, did very well in her career. And as she sort of learned to focus on those positives, her sense of worth gradually increased. And by the end of therapy, it was so much that she actually started, liking her curly hair. She actually started styling it better. She felt there was a physical change in the way she carried herself. She looked forward to dressing better, So it really changed for her. And well, the moment she accepted herself as she is, conversations around her changed. People started admiring her. People started complimenting her even on her looks. Yeah, she has such beautiful eyes. She has such wonderful hair. So that sort of added to it. So I want you all to think that if you were sort of living your best life, what would that be like? Sketch out, what would the best version of yourself look like? And divide them up in physical traits, emotional, mental capabilities, all of that. So what would the best version of you be like? Sketch it out for yourselves. Now, even after and this is going to take a lot of practice, because even when you do this, the old beliefs that we've learned over so many years of growing up will keep popping up. But you will need to challenge them. You will need to say, well, you know what? Does this hold true for me today? Is it my voice, or it is my grandmother's, or is it my neighbor? It is my friends. You need to question it there. Is it really your voice or not? Okay? Challenge yourself to basically see, how can you look at yourself differently? What is it that you can do differently? Look for inspirations around you. People you admire, people you idolize. What is it that you like about them? What is it that you idealize? And how did they get there? What actions do you need to take in your life to get there? So do that for yourself. And I really mean write it down, because it just sort of gives us that clarity that this is how it is, So once you adopt these beliefs, the other thing is actually self-acceptance. And by self-acceptance, I mean like embracing yourself, embracing your whole self, which includes your positives, your negatives, your strengths, your weaknesses, your flaws, your insecurities, your fears, because honestly, we all have them. I don't think there's even one person on this planet that does not have them. So, really embracing that, valuing yourself regardless of your failure or your achievement, because you need to have the ability to learn from your mistakes and move forward, you know, because again, self acceptance is allowing yourself to be human, because nobody is always great at everything and nobody is always terrible at everything. Nobody is like that. So, giving yourself that allowance that it's okay to make that mistake. I'm going to learn from it. Like a child, when a child learns to walk, he doesn't just start walking or running, right? He will stumble, he will fall. What does the parent do? The parent will pick up the child, encourage the child. That's what you need to do for yourself. When you fall, you say, I'm learning, and you pick up yourself and you take the next step forward. That is what self acceptance means. Our past experiences actually have a lot more impact than we can imagine. So like I said, awareness is the first key. Once you're aware, it's 70% of the battle won. So being aware of these old patterns, of these old beliefs that you have adopted, of that old conditioning that you've had as a child, and questioning them, that maybe today this belief does not hold true for me because it's not working in my life. It's not doing anything for me. So why do I still need to hold it? Can I let it go? That is what it means. And a way to do it is by asking yourself these questions. Again, what am I critical of? Does that help me rise or does that just pull me down? So you're going to answer things. Is it useful anymore to think like that? What am I unloving towards? Like, in what ways? What is it that I don't like? Can I choose an alternative way to be towards myself, which is self-compassion? If I can be kind and generous and allowing to others around me, to friends, family, or even strangers around me, then what stops me from being kind to myself? How can I truly, truly love myself? Do I reject myself because someone else wants me to be a certain way? We all of us like to be accepted, recognized, appreciated by others around us, right? Nobody likes to be judged. Nobody likes to be criticized, right? But am I going to change the way I am or behave in the ways that I'm not happy with just so I can fit someone else's ideal notion of me? Do I do that? And is it even worth it? I think the first point is it even worth it? Because ultimately, you're going to live with yourself the rest of your life. Others will come and go, So you need to be happy with what you're doing, which is being true to yourself. And a very, very important component of self-acceptance is self-compassion and self-love. It's so easy for me to love my mom, to love my dad. Why is it so difficult for me to love myself? Why? Because I was never taught. Because I was always told I'm not okay. I'm not perfect. I will not be accepted the way I am. So now it's time for me as that adult to really embrace and accept and not live up to that ideal notion. Because today it's this, tomorrow it'll change. So I'm going to keep striving without really getting there. Yeah, I'm going to take another analogy. It's like you have a crate of mangoes and you really look forward to eating those mangoes. And then you dig your hand in and you find something this squishy, gooey, and you find this rotten mango. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to throw the whole crate? Or are you going to throw that rotten mango? I'm guessing that you all are going to throw that one mango and not the whole crate because you want to enjoy the mangoes. So why? Why will you indulge in self-damning for one aspect of yourself, for that one trait, and not look at all the wonderful things that you have? So that's why I say you need to like be specific what you don't like, because it could be just that one trait against a whole lot of positives. So, this is a very famous quote by, this lady who is someone I really admire. She's done a lot of work on mind-body connection. She's actually a cancer survivor who healed herself by healing her emotions, without surgeries, without medication. So what she talks about is how our emotions impact us, including how we feel disease because of that. So the quote is, "You have been criticizing yourself for years and it hasn't worked. Try something different. Try approving of yourself and see what happens. And I assure you, magic will happen." So I'm going to end my presentation, and I want to end it with a video that I want to show you all. Yeah, just a sec. Maya, can you see the video?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I can see it. Once you can see it.
Okay, I'm gonna play it. I hope you all enjoy the video.
देखा कभी आईने में दिखता है क्या टू फैट टू स्लिम ड्रेसिंग सेंस पूरा ओएमजी शी इज अ टॉप थोड़ा मेकअप कर लो ना सम मैक्स सम लॉट संतोष का गाना बेटे शादी कैसे हो स्किन काली है तुम्हारी सुनो कोई नहीं लेगा नहीं बहू काली काली डिग्री डिग्री इंग्लिश इंग्लिश सारी फालतू की बातें थोड़ा बेसन थोड़ा बीच थोड़ी हल्दी मलाई हाउ मच डू यू पे पूरा हाथ खावे क्या इतनी पतली कैसे है तू दिखती ओनली हड्डियां थोड़ा तुम खाओ खाने लग जाओ इतनी मोटी इतनी पतली ना होती लड़कियां love handles on your waist hi 12 pimples on your face hi dark skinned and stuff hi don't care be shameless I'm 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 shameless कलाती बहन जी सुनो मेरी बात थोड़ा प्यार से बताओ ना हाथ ना लाना I am me you are you different people different minds don't judge me straight I'm one of a kind क्यों चेहरा छुपाऊं क्यों मेकअप लगाऊं decide how I look क्यों wax में कराऊं क्यों खाना घटाऊं क्यों डाइट में चलाऊं I eat you if I have to घर भूखी ना जाऊं काली बिल्ली चुड़ैल so dark so tan you judge me on my color then you call me your friend then my color pulls me down welcome to my life let me show you how it's done no gun no knife work hard do good one life to live how to care what you think with more to give कहने वाले कहते रहे उससे हमको you been mean to me but guess what I forgive don't look at me you can't see me through it's not the color's eyes it's me and you take me for a lamb I am a tigress you body shame me I'm shameless I'm shameless I'm shameless I'm shameless I'm shameless I'm shameless
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Is that
Yeah.
it? Is that it? You stopped it in between. We were having a lot of fun.
Yes, that was it. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you. Anybody? Any questions, please?
Yes, so pick up the questions and
Please, you can. You don't need to unmute yourself. You can put it in chat. We'll read it out for you. Anybody, any questions? Please don't hesitate. It's the perfect time to ask a question. Nobody's there to judge you, to ridicule you.
like you saw the video.
Let's start with how many of you liked the video. Let's start with this. I think it's a very pertinent video. I mean, I really think that's a wonderful video on my side. Very inspiring session, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you.
So somebody's asked, ma'am, I was having a little dark complexion. So maybe it is something related to, they want to know what they need to do to handle it, because people might be, making fun, or maybe people are talking something. Maybe that's the reason why.
Yeah, so I know, like in India especially, I think, we grow up thinking that beauty is this. I would like to say, if you actually Google search, there is a supermodel who is actually black like gold. And she's one of the highest supermodels. She's the highest paid supermodel. So again, are you subscribing to an idealized beauty norm?
No, actually, so after that, said gradually, I started accepting my color and became more happy than ever. So
well done, well done. Yes, so that's what self-acceptance is.
I would like to ask you a question now based on this itself. I would like to ask you, ma'am. So I have seen students actually say, "Arey, mote," how they normally call friends and things like that. How do you retort back? How do you give it back to them in a normal way, but in a way so that they don't do it again? They don't body shame you again. What is it that you can ask them, like, or tell them, or some comment that you can, to stop them right at their track so that they never try body shaming? What is it that you can do, instantaneously? Is there anything?
I wish I had a magic wand, Maya, that I could stop others from behaving the way they do. But first thing, you cannot control what others say or do.
Yes.
You have no control over that. What you have control over, they said this, how did it feel? Yes, I felt hurt. And I think that's the way you actually handle it. That, I don't know if you realize the impact your words have on others, but I can actually tell you that it hurts. And I would really appreciate if you did not do this, if you didn't do this.
Okay.
So having said this, again, like I said, a lot of people actually do it out of their own insecurities.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a very distorted manner. Like you judge others, you're critical of others to make yourself feel better.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. This is something new.
Yeah,
for me.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's why people do it as well. So how you can handle is, like I said, say this to the person, and despite you saying it, the person may or may not respect it. So go with that awareness that they may stop it, they may not stop it. So their behavior not in your control, impact it has on you, work on that.
Okay. True.
Ma'am, can I ask a question?
Please go ahead.
Good evening, ma'am. Myself, Abhanan. I am a student of engineering. Ma'am, I am asking about after completing the study, and we are going to a corporate world. So then we have someone guides us. Please maintain yourself like a corporate jobs. How can we deal? Man, I don't want to change myself in like fit bodies and some training, some shape, some structured beard and look like a sales. I think this look like a salesman, and I didn't want to. How I want to ask how to deal with that situation. I mean, actually, I saw my senior clean her beard for the job interview. So how can we deal with that? Are you understanding my question?
Yes. Abhi Anand, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hi, Abhianand. The thing is that, when you go into the working life, okay, uh, there is a certain expectation that you need to be well groomed. Okay, it does not have to be that you have to be 6 feet tall or you have to be like a well built guy. It's basically what they're saying is you have to look presentable. So you need to be wearing clean clothes. You need to, you can't, it's like, I can't just get up, get out of bed and go to work. So that's, I think, the expectation. Like even for an interview, there's a certain code that you don't wear a t-shirt and go for an interview, right? You do wear. So again, those are grooming and not really body shaming. There's a difference. Okay, because yes, you will be expected to have a neatly combed hair, be clean. You can't have like food marks on your shirt. No. So that's the difference. So even if you have a beard, you need to make sure that it's well groomed. Okay, well, and a lot of industries, like for, especially client facing, like hospitality industries, they will require for you to have like a certain uniform, or, tie your hair up. For women, you can't have open hair. So those are certain protocols certain industries follow. So that's the difference. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Well,
Maya ma'am, you're muted.
Sorry. I was asking another question. I don't eat out of boredom and I don't eat sugar or potato chips. Sometimes I eat good food only, but still I feel like eating. Bulimia. How can I know that? When can I reach a doc?
okay, so bulimia is, again, are you enjoying food or are you feeling majorly guilty that you're actually vomiting? So you binge eat, and binge eat is,
Yes,
if I'm
she
this
said.
much hungry, but I binge. Like I don't have a bowl of chips, but I have, 2 packets of chips. That's binging. And suddenly then that guilt hits. And then you go to the toilet and you like force yourself to vomit. That is when you know it's time to seek help. Look, we all have certain feelings of guilt. Okay? Like, for example, if I'm like, I eat junk food on a weekend, but if I enjoy an ice cream on a Wednesday, I'm like, oh no, I gave in to my temptation. That guilt is normal because we're human beings. You need to have those emotions. You need to have anxiety. You need to have guilt. You need to have certain insecurities. It's for our survival. But when it reaches an extent where it's impacting your day-to-day functioning, when it's taking a toll on your physical health, when you're obsessing about just this, you can't get this thought about, oh my God, I'm so overweight. Oh my God. And you can't do anything else. That's the time when you know you need to seek help. And honestly, in my profession, I realized that a lot of people come to us when they really hit rock bottom. Then it's longer recovery, longer treatment. So if you do have a doubt, you don't want to go to a psychiatrist, go to a counselor. Go for that one session. It's better than living with that doubt. What if I have an eating disorder? So go for that one session.
So as even when I eat good food, I feel guilty. So
Well, you need to describe what is good food. Is it healthy? Are you talking about a balanced diet? Are you talking
must
what?
be healthy food. I think healthy food is what that person means.
Ma'am, actually, ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Anupa, right?
Yes. So actually, when I mean good food, I'm really thinking of like good food only, like fruits or nuts or like that. But I feel like eating, and I'm like I have got comments like sometimes I'm fat, I'm short, and all. But that I never took that into account only. Like I was like never, because even though it was very sometimes it comes from parents or cousins or friends, so even though I never took that, because I thought like everyone is special. Even laddu is special, even jalebi is special. So
Wow.
I took that way only. But sometimes I don't know if, so ma'am was telling that if you have that doubt, you need to go to a therapist or counselor, so to so confirm that it is not an eating disorder. So that was a good thing actually. But when I was telling that I eat only good food, I never go for a chips or a cake or anything. And
And
sometimes I don't feel like puke and all, but I like feel like very guilty. Why? Because I don't feel hungry only, but I'm eating and eating and eating.
yeah.
That's what.
Hi, Anupa. Thanks for sharing so honestly on this platform. I really appreciate it. And I think my advice to you would be that I think it'll be a good idea to actually go for that one session, go for that one assessment, because it could be or it could not be. And when you do go for that, those sessions to the therapist, they can actually work on this guilt, so you can sort of really work on what is this guilt, where is it coming from, how does it impact you in your life, and how can you handle it.
Hmm.
So even if it's not a full-blown eating disorder, you will get help in how to deal with this guilt.
Yeah, because no, like I otherwise for stop eating, I sometimes force myself to do work actually. Sometimes I'll paint, or do something like that because I can forget about it. Like otherwise, some thought. I think it is sometimes thoughts are popping up. So for avoiding that, otherwise I'll go for food because I actually don't usually. I think all these problems and all because I am just self noticing everything. Okay, I
Yeah.
don't know
Now,
whether
Anupa, it's great that you're so aware, and yes, like, therapy never hurt anyone.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Okay.
So yeah, so maybe it's a good idea to, do it. And today, like right now, a lot of online therapists are available.
Hmm.
So make use of that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Anupa.
Anybody else? Any questions, guys?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, hi.
Actually, I was curious to know, like, if body shaming is going to be, heard for a child, uh, does if it is us, we can understand that we are being body shamed, and we can choose to, accept it or reject it or. So, if we as a child is hearing body shaming, we might accept it as it is. We don't know to differentiate it between good or bad, or we should accept it or not. So how can we, train a child to accept it or not accept it?
Yes, a very, very good question. And my answer to that is nobody goes through childhood unscarred.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, someone has severe trauma, some people don't, but everybody gets scarred, unfortunately. Okay, and today's schools, today's parenting is actually really focusing on emotional quotient. We're seeing a shift there to the times that probably our parents brought us up, or our grandparents generation. So there is a lot of talk on EQ and how children should be raised, what should how should they become emotional resilient. So yes, so I don't think you can rescue a child to not go through these things. they will have their own experiences. What you can do is, if they do go through it, how, now that you're that aware adult, how can you support them? What are the things that you can see? How can you teach them that, celebrate yourself, be proud of who you are, not just the way you look, but this, you give them counter examples, you know? So, yeah, so if you notice that, you do that work, you be that agent of change for them.
Yeah, true. I was someone who went through all this, so I was just thinking of asking that way. At
Like
least,
I said, all of us have been through it in varying degrees.
yeah, true.
I myself, I'm dark complexion, and I've faced it all my life.
Same here.
Right? Yeah, because in India, I mean, you're only beautiful, like, it's not your features, it's basically you're fair or dark. It's just that. But see, there's a change happening. Now, if you see, people are protesting against these advertisements on fairness creams. Even the stars are intelligently endorsing things. So there's a lot of talk. But again, social change, takes time, takes individual effort. So you need to do your bit, and then change happens.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Ma'am, where the beauty is defined, can't able to figure it out. So maybe they're talking about uh, how it is, what is beauty. But I think I don't know. It's a very theoretical
Maya,
question.
you need to clarify the question for me.
Yes, I think what they want to know is, where, what are the, I mean, there
What
are the
is beauty? What
standards.
is the person asking? What is beauty, or what is beautiful?
uh, I think they want to know, like, where exactly it's not defined anywhere. It's up to us, right? So I don't know why the society makes us to define. Yeah, very good question. Why the society wants us or to define whether we are dark or white or beautiful? Yeah, where do these standards come from? Is maybe what he wants to ask, which is
Well,
the beauty standards. Yes, I think it's something people just follow the crowd. I mean, ma'am, you can answer. It's your prerogative to answer the question.
like I say, like in the Renaissance time, larger bodies were more beautiful. Today's time, size zero. So society evolves. So today, what is beautiful, tomorrow it won't be. And it has a lot to do with, again, media influence. It has a lot to do with our mindsets. It has a lot to do with what we consider beautiful. Because at the end of it, what is society? Society is each one of us. So we also need to question, have I judged someone? How can I stop that? What do I consider beautiful? So we also need to stop and ask ourselves these questions, because, like I said, social change starts with individual change. And the client example I gave you, who just did not fit the normal norm because she was fat and she had dark complexion and curly hair. She did not fit it, but she still celebrated herself. And the moment she celebrated herself, others complimented her. So that's how you need to have conviction that I'm good, I'm beautiful, I am something. And you see how people around you change. It's amazing.
Very true. Where so this person is again, so where the root gets to come from? Where is the origin? White is beautiful, dark is ugly. So yeah, so where is the origin of this kind of you know uh, this kind of thought? I think it's just a mindset, is what I think. I really think we need to just like mental health. Ooh, don't talk about it. Brush it under the carpet. I think it's like that. It's a mindset which needs to be changed totally.
I think it's also a rarity. So in India, because primarily we're brown skin, right? So fair skin is celebrated. Whereas if you see in the West, people go crazy about brown skin. People are tanning themselves. They're like putting tanning oil. They're going and getting to these spas to get like the tanned look.
Yeah.
So I think it is also to do with rarity. Because I don't have this. So for me, that's beautiful because I can't get it.
Maybe.
So it's also to do with that. So yeah, when you go to the West, oh my God, like a friend of mine says it's called mocha chocolate complexion. A French
Nice
friend of
one.
mine says it like that. So
That's a nice one. Chocolate is something everybody loves.
yes, nobody says right. Like you don't see too many people saying, I love white chocolate.
I do, but yeah.
But
But normally,
most of us love brown chocolate or dark chocolate.
dark chocolate, yes.
Yeah, so we don't criticize chocolate or color.
Yes,
So why do we do it to ourselves?
very good. One of the person actually made a comment like, when my baby says I love Amacha, I also say you have to say I love me too, which is true.
Ah,
I think we need to say that to our children too.
totally. If I don't love myself, how can I expect someone else to love me?
And these standards, ma'am, I think these beauty standards. Who defines these standards? It's up to you in your mindset, in your filter, in your head. You're saying, oh, this person said this, so it must be like this. Why would you adhere to such standards? You are who you are. And okay, if Aishwarya Rai is beautiful, she might be beautiful in her own accord. You are beautiful in your own accord. I really don't think you should put other people's definitions as a part of your judging yourself. I really don't think so, because
Totally.
everybody is different. They're different, and that's what makes them beautiful. You cannot have how apples and oranges. Apple is apple, orange is orange. You cannot make orange apple will look beautiful than red orange. No. So it's the same way. I really don't think so.
Yes.
Yeah. Any more questions? Any more comments, guys? Yes,
For
no.
every Aishwarya Rai, there's a Naomi Campbell, and for every Naomi Campbell, there's an Aishwarya Rai. That's
Yes.
Yeah, no, I even other thing like a kiwi is brown in color. So if an orange goes brown, it's bad, right? You cannot say, oh, brown is beautiful and orange is not. It's you cannot compare the two things. Yeah, okay. So, ma'am, you've got a lot of feedback saying that the session was wonderful. Guys, please put in your feedback. Our feedback is a very, very important for us. And it will help us find out more topics that you want speakers to come in. So please do put in, ma'am. You can look up the chat box. There are people are saying that they enjoyed the video, they enjoyed the session, and they really loved their session. So thank you so much. I mean, this is such a relevant topic, and you took it so beautifully. I mean, especially
Thank
your that mango crates example. It's very true.
Ma'am.
Yes,
I want to
Yes.
say,
please ask.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you for such a good session, ma'am. We are not. Thank you for how to tackle this session, and one more that shameless video. Thank you for that, ma'am.
Welcome. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Abhyana. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes, seriously, that video, ma'am. I was like, why did you stop it?
I was like, am I running out of time?
No, really, no. That was, and it's so apt. It's so
Yes.
true.
Really.
People just keep, barging with comments. They just keep going on and on. They don't realize that their one comment can hurt so much, especially those who are really our family. It really hurts if it's a stranger. So that's what I tell all my students. I tell them, if you're going to a movie theater, if somebody, whistles or somebody passes a comment, do you say anything? No, you ignore. Why? Because it's a stranger. But then you do, when your father or uncle or brother or sister, somebody or your friend says it, it hurts you. Why? Because in your mind, that person is your father, mother, brother, sister, whatever. I mean, who made that filter? You made that filter that that person is a stranger and this person is not. So you shouldn't. You should ignore something that hurts you. Ignore it, really. So yeah, really nice. Please do fill up the feedback. Next week we are having managing your money. You can ask all your students, other friends, anybody who's interested in that, because I think all young professionals need to know how to manage your money, how to do taxes, investments. So the next week we are having managing your money with one of the experts from UK. So please do come for that. And ma'am, thank you so much for this
Thank
beautiful.
you. Thank you for
You
having
spoke
me.
so well, and it was so nice. It was really very nice.
I
Thank you.
hope you all enjoyed it. So,
Yes.
and do enjoy the video now, the full video later.
We're going to go and check out the full video. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. All
Thank you.
right. Thanks,
Thank you.
Maya. Thanks,
Thank you,
Shiva.
ma'am.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much for
much.
having me. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, guys. See you next week.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank you.
Bye.